I'm super excited to announce not one, but two amazing new Nexus phones, the Nexus 5X and the Nexus 6P. So let's start with the Nexus 6P. Now, I've been using this device for several weeks, and I'm absolutely loving it. We partnered with Huawei to create the first ever full metal-bodied Nexus phone. It's crafted from aeronautical-grade anodized aluminum, and the phone is only 7.3 millimeters thin, and it has beautiful diamond-cut edges and a sculpted back that make it feel really comfortable to hold. The phone is available in 3 colors: frost white, aluminum, and graphite. Now, the Nexus 6P has an incredibly vibrant 5.7-inch WQHD AMOLED display, and we've maximized the area of the screen to be 74% of the overall device. So you get an amazingly immersive experience without the phone feeling too big. This is a 5.7-inch phone, but roughly the same size as many 5.5-inch devices. Now, inside, the phone packs the latest 64-bit processor, powered by an almost 3.5 amp-hour battery. The brand new USB Type-C port brings fast charging, so the Nexus 6P can charge fully in about half the time of an iPhone 6 Plus. And of course, Type-C gets you the much more convenient reversible plug, so no more guessing which way is up. You'll also notice the phone has stereo forward-facing speakers for crisp, clear sound. Now, the Nexus 6P has the best camera we've ever put into a Nexus device, a 12.3 megapixel Sony imaging sensor with enormous 1.55 micron pixels. The 6P can produce stunning images even in the toughest of lighting conditions. We've also incorporated a high-resolution 8-megapixel front-facing camera with HDR+, so you can get the world's best selfies on this phone. The 6P comes with Nexus Imprint, a seamless way of authenticating with your fingerprint. We put an incredibly fast and accurate fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone to complement the way you naturally hold it. One touch will effortlessly wake up the device for smooth, fast access. And of course, Nexus Imprint works seamlessly with Android Pay for making purchases in stores. The Nexus 6P runs the latest Android 6.0 software, codenamed Marshmallow. And like all Nexus devices, it receives the latest software and security updates directly from Google. Okay, a few years back, we partnered with LG to build a Nexus 5. And this went on to become one of the most loved and popular Nexus phones we've ever launched. This year, we're happy to announce an update to this iconic phone with the all-new Nexus 5X. Now, the Nexus 5X offers top-of-the-line performance in a compact, affordable package. It has a beautiful 5.2-inch display, but it maintains the trademark screen-to-weight ratio, coming in at only 136 grams, which is amazing for a screen of this size. We've also increased the battery size by almost 20% to 2,700 milliamp hours, so the phone lasts even longer. Beneath the 5.2-inch display is a 64-bit processor, giving you world-class speed and performance. And the Nexus 5X has some of the same great hardware features you'll find in the Nexus 6P. So the 1.55 micron camera to capture more light, Nexus Imprint for quick and secure access, and of course, USB Type-C for fast charging. The phone itself is available in carbon black, quartz white, and ice blue. So to learn a little bit more about both phones, let me walk you through a couple of key hardware features in more detail. So let's talk about camera. Modern flagship phones do pretty well for outdoor shots, but where they tend to struggle is with indoor photography in less than ideal lighting conditions. And that's ironic because people spend over 20 hours a day indoors. The new Nexus camera is great outdoors, but it's also optimized for indoor photography in 3 key ways. First, as I mentioned earlier, the 12.3 megapixel imaging sensor has very large 1.55 micron pixels, providing 92% more light collection efficiency than the original Nexus 6. Now, pixel size is not a dimension you usually hear people talk about, but it's really important to the quality of the picture. The larger the pixel size at a given density, the more photons of light the sensor can collect in tricky lighting conditions. And because the sensor collects more light, it allows us to run shorter exposure times, so you have less motion blur. So that, combined with the fact you get less handshake artifacts when you have larger pixels, means we obviate the need for OIS. In fact, this Sony imaging sensor was originally designed for camcorders and digital cameras and is unprecedented in a mobile phone. Second, we've chosen a fast closed-loop autofocus technology optimized for low-light conditions. The Nexus 6P has a laser detect autofocus system which uses a time-of-flight IR laser to enable instant autofocus of close-by objects. And we've iterated and improved our HDR plus computational photography and added a new mode that automatically kicks in during low light. So let's compare the Nexus 6P against the original Nexus 6 and the iPhone 6s. With photos taken at about 23 minutes past sunset, the cameras are roughly comparable. Now, let's take a look at 37 minutes past sunset when things get darker, and you can clearly see a difference. In low-light environments, the Nexus 6P outperforms all of the other phones we've tested in terms of brightness, detail, less noise or graininess, and better tone mapping. And here's a couple of photos that Googlers have been able to take while out casually testing the phone. Some of these were just literally taken around the Google campus. It's an amazing camera. Also, new this year is slow motion video, which is fun and great for action scenes. And kids like this one absolutely love being the subject of it. The Nexus 5X can capture 120 frames per second, and the Nexus 6P up to 240 frames per second. And the Google Photos app now allows you to edit the region of interest of the video to slow down. And of course, both phones naturally support 4K video resolution at normal rate. We've also added a new feature to the Nexus 6P, which we call Smart Burst. You simply hold down the shutter button to trigger, which captures bursts of images at a staggering 30 frames per second. Smart Burst lets you create fun animated GIFs of the moment, like this one, and you can automatically select the best image from the burst. Finally, being able to quickly capture a fleeting moment is important for mobile phone cameras. So we've added the ability for you to just double tap the power button to instantly launch the camera. Okay, so next, I'd like to talk to you about the new Android Sensor Hub. This is a dedicated low-power processor that connects directly to the phone's sensors and runs Google's unique sensor algorithms. Now, modern smartphones are evolving to become more aware of their environment, to move beyond questions like, where am I, to more nuanced things like, how familiar am I with this area, and what am I currently doing? Answering these questions requires processing large amounts of sensor data over time in a power-efficient way. By offloading sensor processing from the main CPU to the Android Sensor Hub, we're able to run at a fraction of the power budget. The Nexus 5X and 6P uses the Sensor Hub in a couple of innovative ways. So for example, the Sensor Hub performs advanced activity recognition. So it's smart enough to track your run or your biking as soon as you start, even with the screen off with minimal power overhead. The Sensor Hub can also detect when the phone is picked up and automatically activate the ambient display. And the ambient display shows you the time and any pending notifications on your lock screen in a low-power white on black display mode. From there, you can seamlessly touch the screen to go into a full power mode and interact with the notifications. So that's the Android Sensor Hub. I'd like to talk about another feature, another great hardware feature on these phones, and that's fingerprint. The Nexus 5X and 6P comes with Nexus Imprint, which makes unlocking the phones more convenient and secure and lets you accelerate payments and sign-in operations. Now, fingerprint sensors have been available on several devices in the Android ecosystem for a while, but Nexus Imprint implements the new fingerprint sensor support in Android 6.0 for the first time, which opens up fingerprint recognition to the entire app ecosystem. The Nexus Imprint sensor provides amazing performance. Registering a finger takes literally just a couple of seconds. Once trained, the sensor can recognize a single finger in less than 600 milliseconds. It's convenient and secure, and the sensor performs with an incredibly low false reject rate, so it almost never fails. What's really cool is that Nexus imprint gets better over time. With each use, it learns more about your unique fingerprint. So to unlock my device with Nexus imprint, all I have to do is tap the sensor at the back, and it simultaneously wakes up the app's processor and unlocks the phone. It's incredibly smooth and lightning fast. Fingerprint unlocking is super convenient when combined with Android Pay. So when you're in a store, simply touch the back of your phone to unlock, tap the payment terminal to complete your purchase. It's that easy. On the phone itself, you can use your fingerprint to simply and quickly authorize Play Store purchases. And we've been working with partners to integrate fingerprint support across a wide range of banking and commerce apps. OK, so let's switch gears for a moment and talk about some of the features of Marshmallow that really shine on the Nexus 5X and 6P. With Android 6.0 Marshmallow, we've gone back to the basics to focus on improving the core user experience. At Google I/O in May, we talked about some of the areas we polished, like text selection improvements, a new copy and paste floating bar, volume controls, and more. Now that we're done, I wanted to show you a few more examples of polish and craftsmanship that can be found throughout Marshmallow. So let's start with the lock screen. Now, we already have quick access to camera from the lock screen. In Marshmallow, we've extended quick access to Google Voice Search and Actions. So you just swipe from the left corner, and you get this beautiful material reveal animation, and then you can simply say what you want. For example, call Pacino Restaurant. You'll also notice the little charging indication on the lock screen, indicating that the phone is in fast charging mode, thanks to USB Type-C. And it's also estimating how much time the phone will take to charge. So let's unlock the phone. Now, one of the first things you'll notice is that we've reworked the window animations. So they follow the material design principle, where elements appear from their point of touch or interaction. When you touch a launcher icon, it expands outwards, and then it dismisses vertically downwards when you're done with it. So it feels intuitive and natural. We've also taken great care to simplify how heads-up notifications work. If you receive a heads-up notification, say an incoming text message, the notification now peaks down with a little bouncing animation to get your attention without disrupting your current task. You can easily push the notification back up to its hiding place, or you can swipe down to reveal the rest of the notification shade. Now the physics of notifications are truly consistent everywhere. Another area we polished and refined is the home screen. In Marshmallow, you can quickly scroll to find an app with the new A to Z indexing scheme, or indeed just instantly type the first letter or two to find the app. We've also added on-device intelligent prediction engine to learn your pattern of app launches over time and provide dynamic shortcuts at the top of the launcher for quick access. The phone learns your patterns, so it'll be able to show you apps you tend to launch at a certain time of day, say in the morning versus the evening, or in fact, apps you tend to launch in a specific sequence. And of course, with Marshmallow, we've radically changed the user permission model by greatly simplifying the number of permissions apps can ask for and only asking for permission the first time you try to use a feature, instead of asking during installation time. So, for example, let's say I launch Twitter and I want to tweet with an attached location. When I press the location button, the system presents a runtime permission for location, like so. Now, we've heard loud and clear from Android users that they feel some phones come installed with too much bloatware. With the new Nexus devices, we've reduced the number of preloaded apps on the phone to make the out-of-box experience cleaner and simpler. We've also developed a new system that moves over a quarter of our apps to a post-setup installation phase, which means they can be uninstalled just like any other apps. OK, so at Google I/O in May, we demoed a new feature we've been working on called Now on Tap. This feature is launching with the Nexus 5X and 6P, making our new phones not just faster, but also smarter. Now on Tap brings the power of Google Search to whatever you're doing on the phone. You simply tap and hold the home button to get quick information and actions without leaving the app you're currently in. So Google draws on all of the resources of your phone to bring you the right information and apps for what you need in the moment. So let's take a look at this in action. Maya is here on stage to help me with a couple of demos. Maya, by the way, is the product manager behind the awesome Nexus imprint feature I showed earlier. OK, So let's say Maya is using WhatsApp, and she receives a message like so from a friend who's asking to meet at the Cascals restaurant at 7 p.m. From here, she can simply long press the home button to trigger Now on Tap to get information and quick access. Here, you can quickly see the restaurant's rating and how far away it is. Now on Tap is providing assistance on directions, there's a phone icon to directly call a restaurant, and even a Yelp icon to get reviews. Now on Tap is also providing a convenient option to directly create a calendar reminder event. And you can see if Maya then taps on the open table icon, she can directly book a table for the restaurant her friend had mentioned. It's super convenient. Now on Tap is a really innovative enhancement to Google Now's assistant capabilities. And like many of Google's services, it's based on a learning system, which gets better with usage over time. And we're excited to be able to get this out to users now and continue to iterate and improve it with regular updates via the Play Store. Another cool feature in Android is voice actions, which lets you use just your voice to perform actions such as sending a text message or setting an alarm. In Android 6.0, we've extended this feature to enable app developers to build conversational voice experiences directly into their own app. So let's take a look at an example. Maya has an updated version of the NPR app on her phone that supports the new voice interaction capabilities in Marshmallow. She's able to trigger the app and then interact with the app all by her voice. So let's take a look.
Okay, Google, listen to NPR.
Here's the latest news. Would you like to resume the California report or catch up on the latest news?
Latest news.
Okay, catching you up on the latest news.
This is Queena Kim, and you're listening to KQED Public Radio.
So what was cool here was the NPR app was able to ask a clarifying question to Maya to complete the voice action. So it's powerful and seamless. Both the Nexus 5X and 6P support always-on OK Google detection that works even when the screen is off, thanks to a hardware DSP. So any app could implement the new voice interaction capabilities to support this kind of hands-free use. OK, so let's move on and talk about battery. Our engineers have been working hard on optimizing battery life on Android for several years. With Marshmallow, we think we've made our biggest breakthrough to date. We've made Android smarter about how it manages power with the new doze mode. We're using significant motion detection to learn if a device has been left unattended for a period of time. In that case, we'll exponentially back off background activity to go into a deeper sleep state, yet still be able to respond to real-time messages. We've also optimized the system to prioritize the apps you use more frequently over those that you don't. The results in Marshmallow are pretty dramatic, and you'll especially notice the improvements if you leave your device down and forget to charge it overnight, for example. In fact, when the screen is off, the average battery life lasts 30% longer in Marshmallow on the first generation Nexus 5 and Nexus 6 devices. And these are extraordinary numbers to improve battery life by purely via software changes. And of course, the new Nexus 5X and 6P benefit from these power improvements in Marshmallow. OK, so finally, I'm happy to announce that Android 6.0 Marshmallow will begin rolling out to existing Nexus devices starting next week, including the Nexus 5, 6, 7, 9, and Nexus Player. Now, here's Sabrina to tell you more about where you can buy the new Nexus 5X and 6P. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.